always going to be something that you could use on a tiered tray. So, but next month I made them specifically. My intention was to be able to use them on a tiered tray. So I hope you guys like them. We will always be 1 month ahead of whatever the season is. And so I know some of you may be like, why is she already sharing Halloween stuff? It's not even September. Well, because that's actually going to be something that we create in September. And the reason I do that is because since we're creating it the 3rd week of September, I want you guys to be able to have it by October 1st if you're a Halloween lover, if you're a Halloween decorator, so that you're not decorating, or you're not doing it and then only using it for a week. So again, this one, you could use this, we could have done this one in July, just because people decorate with sunflowers right now, but they're pumpkin shaped, so kind of pumpkin shaped. So sunflowers you can still use in September as well. So that's why we will always be a month ahead. So in October, it will be probably fall themed again. Thanksgiving themed will probably be October's, and November's will be Christmas themed, and then December is probably going to be a little iffy because some people decorate with snow after the holidays, some people don't. So I'll probably take a poll in here to see what you guys want to do for December, whether you just want something fresh and new to freshen up your everyday decor for January, starting the new year, then we could do that too. Or it could be something snow themed or anything like that. All right. These are pine pea. What is the color of your paint? So this one is apple barrel and it's called Laguna. That's what this one is. And I'm gonna do a lighter color on my small one. And I use a variety of paints. I do have favorites. I do like chalk paint. I do like certain paints, but typically I usually use Decor, which is what the next color is. Decor and apple barrel. And they're the most popular. There is folk art, but I heard folk art's going out of business. So, and then Martha Stewart has a brand. I mean, there's lots of paints out there. So I will tell you, what was I doing yesterday? I'm thinking. I was doing something yesterday and I was explaining to people the difference between the paints and why you use one over another. What was it? Oh, I know what it is. So you have paints that are flat, and most apple barrel, this is a matte acrylic, so it's going to be a very flat matte look. A lot of the Decor paints are satin or gloss. They do have matte, but so some of the difference is your matte paints are going to dry a lot quicker than your gloss paints. So anything that has a sheen to it, where there's a little bit of shine, it is going to take a little bit longer to dry. And craft paints don't take that long to dry anyway, but if you're doing something, if you're doing a project that you want it to dry really fast, obviously you have a hair dryer, heat gun, or whatever that you guys can use, but stick with matte paint or chalk paint. That's why I like chalk paint too, because it's going to dry a lot quicker. And the other thing, if you like the look of a gloss, that's okay. You can still use the matte paint to paint with, and then we can put a sealer on it that is going to give it some shine, because the sealers you can buy in satin, shiny, semi-gloss, gloss, kind of the same things like when if you buy paint for your house, they have all the different eggshell, satin, gloss, semi-gloss, all of those. Same thing when it comes to craft paint. But just know your matte paint is going to dry quicker because it doesn't have the additives to make it shiny. So that's typically what I use on things like this, just because you're on a little bit of a time constraint. I mean, we can't sit here for 4 hours and craft. I mean, I could sit here for 4 hours and craft, and I do sit here for 4 hours and craft sometimes, but I'm sure you guys don't want to hear me sit and talk for 4 hours about crafting, because I don't know how much fun that would be. And I don't know how much I could tell you about crafting in 4 hours. I mean, I could, I'm sure. All right, so I have both of my pumpkins done in a pretty good coat. So when you're painting, make sure you go with the grain, and you're gonna be able to tell which way the grain is going. So one of the best ways to paint the knobs is just to go around in the circle. You're just gonna get messy hands. Found some wooden flat pumpkins, so they are mimicking this month's craft. Oh, awesome! How fun! Well, I would love for you to take a picture of theirs with yours. I would love to see that. Yes. My white is definitely going to take a couple coats. And we'll see how these teal pumpkins, these aqua pumpkins turn out. I don't know. I may get them done and be like, I probably should have just done the regular color pumpkins. We'll see. Dry paper towel and wipe it out. It'll be just fine. I have. So these are just knobs that we are using, and we're going to glue them on, and they're going to be so adorable. Whoops. So I will tell you, oranges, yellows, and reds are difficult colors to paint with. Now the red that I gave you is more of a brick red, so you're probably not going to have any issues with that one because there's some darker hues in it. But straight yellow, orange, and red are so hard to paint. Just the coverage. You're going to do, it's going to be off of the pumpkin, okay? Because, can you see all of that I have? Let's try and make that a little bit better. Okay. So I have all this excess, but what I'm wanting the sunflower to kind of go off the side. So that's okay. That's what we want. So we are going to press this down. You're going to take your credit card or something that you have similar to that and press down all of the vinyl. And then you're going to want to start, you don't want to start pilling on this way because it's going to be hard and you're going to end up pilling up some of the vinyl. So what you want to do is you want to try to get a little edge started right here, and sometimes you need a little tool. You can use your finger. I use my fingernail. I just painted my nails, so I don't really want to run them, but you're just going to start it to where you get the paper to come up. You see how my vinyl is sticking down, but I'm pulling my paper up. So same concept, we're gonna pull away, and if vinyl is wanting to come up with my paper, then again, I'm gonna lay this back down and I'm going to rub it so it lays down. And sometimes it's finicky, sometimes the vinyl doesn't want to stick in certain places and you have to maneuver it a little bit, but for the most part, depending on the paint you're using, it should work pretty well. So we are going to, your edges are going to be tricky because the vinyl is going to want to rip a little bit because it's hanging off the edge, and you don't have to worry about that. I'm actually just folding it over the edge because I don't care about that part. We only are wanting it to look good on the top because we're not actually going to be painting down the edges. Okay, so you just want to go like this, okay, just like that. And it may take a couple coats. Depending on the look you want, if you like it with just the first coat, then you can stop. If you want it to be more vibrant, then you can do another coat. So this is the same technique that we're going to use on both of our blocks with both of our vinyls. So you guys can go ahead while I work on this and go ahead and do your next step because it's going to be the same. Does anybody have any questions right now? I'm sure you guys are all just crafting away. We're gonna see how this hole does for me because it's probably not going to work very well. I meant to fill it in with some wood putty, but my project got put on the back burner. And actually, once I got all of these cut and sanded last week and shipped them out, I don't think I have looked at this since then until today. And then it was too late because wood putty takes a longer time to heal than what I had. Ooh. I'm gonna throw my stuff everywhere. Okay, so there's my sunflower, but I am gonna do another coat. So we're gonna let that dry for a minute. You should let it dry a little bit before you do your second coat. And I'm gonna go onto this one and do my orange. And then I'll go back and do a coat, another coat of that. I'm curious, I know not everybody can type because you're painting, but I'm curious what everybody is doing for school. We have some school, so our school, I don't want that there. It's too late now. A little close to the edge, but that's okay. Our school is doing virtual and in-person. You're either in-person 5 days a week or virtual 5 days a week. There are some other schools around us that are canceling all fall sports and doing all online, which I get. I think if you followed me, you guys know that I lost my mother-in-law to COVID, so I get definitely the impact that it has on people. But I also just want kiddos to go to school, and not because of me, not because I'm like, get out of my house. Although some days I'm like, get out of my house. They just need it. They need the interaction. We've been out of school a long time, and they need to see their friends. They want to see their friends. And my senior, I have a senior this year, so that in and of itself is you know, exciting times, and he wants to experience all the things that come with being a senior. And I want him to experience all those things. His baseball season got cut short, and they didn't get to have a junior baseball season. So it was starting right when everything shut down. And he's a huge baseball player. Actually, he's wanting to go to school, college now for baseball or football, but he is heavy into football right now and just started as a junior. Thank you, Amy. We're all virtual and Hawaii is shut down. Yeah, I'm thinking that our school starts September 3rd. We usually start in August, but this year it is starting September 3rd, and I'm curious how long we're actually going to be in school, because I know our school district is doing everything they can to try. Okay, so now since I have my first coat down, I can go over and I can run my brush over instead of doing the pouncing, because I've created that first layer and it's kind of sealed the edges of the vinyl. So you can do this after you've done your first coat of the pouncing technique, or whatever you want to call it. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of orange into my sunflower, just to make it a little bit more fallish looking. I don't want it to look like Easter. And I was trying to do a project the other day, and I was like, I can't use that ribbon because now it looks like, and I'm gonna dab most of my paint off, okay? So then what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna lightly brush some orange. And it's just gonna add some more color, okay? We need to do it without the vinyl on. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna peel all the vinyl off, okay? This is where it looks, you guys start seeing it come together. And it looks so cool. Look at that. So cool. When you're peeling your vinyl, instead of pulling straight up like this, because it can pull at your wood sometimes, if you peel just down like this, down and away, it helps not peel maybe the blue color up, or the green or the yellow, or whatever color you used. And I don't think I have my X-Acto knife down here, and that is one thing that you're probably going to need. Let's see, I have a big one, and we'll use it. So another thing that you can use for this to get all the vinyl off is a toothpick. You can use a toothpick. So I have all of this vinyl in here that I need to get off. And so you can take a toothpick or a little, I have a smaller knife, and just get under your, I'm getting old, I can't see very well. Just get under your vinyl a little bit. You're crafting on, I don't remember the page, Jewel. Junk to Jewel. Betty, that was Junk to Jewel. Yes, Junk to Jewels. With Katie. I love Katie. And thank you. You like my style. Well, we all have different styles, and that's the thing. You can follow a ton of different crafters, and they all bring you something a little bit different. So thank you for being here. Do you use a Cricut to make your vinyl? Actually, I use a Silhouette. I have been a Silhouette lover since they came out. I think Cricut was actually the first. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I had a blog before I ever did creating like this, and a lot of the bloggers started using Silhouettes, and so I was like, I need this tool. and I use it quite a bit, and I am on my 4th one, I think. I've been doing this 10 years. And I only say that. I don't say that to scare you because they break down a lot, but I use the heck out of them. And honestly, in the past year, I probably haven't even used it as much because I do a lot more hand painting. But just like this, I mean, could you hand paint? You're going to peel these off. And again, if you have a little X-Acto knife, they would be great. If not, you can use a little toothpick to kind of get underneath your vinyl to peel it up in between the letters and things like that. You just have to be careful if you're using a knife because you can nick your paint. And I've done that a lot. Okay, you're gonna go over the edges. See how that little bit of orange there? And I'm gonna go over all the edges just like this. Okay? And I do even go up on these, just like that, to give it a little bit of dimension. This is basically called dry brushing. So your brush is not soaked with paint. It's called dry brushing. So I have a little bit of paint in my brush still, so I'm going to very carefully, I need a tiny bit more, so we're gonna wipe some more off. Again, you can always put more on your brush. Okay. So there, can you see how I just did some orange? Because I like the way that looks. See how it just gives it a little bit more character? All right, that one's done. And then we'll paint the inside. All right, so for this one, I'm gonna do the darker color. A little bit more paint. See how that's looking? If you don't want it to run over your letters, you don't have to. You can I just really like the look of it. See on the side? That one got a little bit much. You can wipe it off a little bit. So we're gonna get all the corners. I think it looks really good wherever you have a cut mark on your wood that you have some there. So basically you're shading. There you go. I'll show you on this one. So you can see some of the wood that shows through on some of the corners if you want to sand down a little bit. I like that look. That is, again, just personal preference. We're not going to do this one until we do the inside of our, let's do the inside of our sunflower. So for the sunflower, you're going to use, I have a brown, you're going to use the red, unless you have paints and you're using a different color of your own. Well, if my brown wants to come out, there we go. So again, I'm actually going to take my white brush that I had. You probably may have used the yellow or the cream one. I'm gonna dab it out as best I can. And then what you're gonna do, you're just gonna dab it again, just like you did on the first step of the stencil. So you're gonna get a tiny paint on your brush, so I don't even have very much on there. And you're gonna tap, 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 tap. And some of my white's showing through, but that's okay. And I am not even gonna butt it up all the way next to the sunflower. I'll show you how there's a little bit of an edge. And if it goes onto the sunflower, that is okay. You can make sure the coverage on this is really thick or really light. I like, all right, so I'm just gonna take my knob and glue it right in the middle. So if you followed me for any length of time, you've probably heard my spiel on low temp and high temp glue guns. There is a difference. I need to write a blog post so that I can just tell you guys, hey, go look. But there is a difference between low temp and high temp. I mostly use high temp, and we're just gonna dry brush more onto our knob. So I have some white. It just dresses it up a little bit. And on this one, I'll do a little bit of orange. Kind of makes it look old. Gives it a little bit of character. That one's got the orange. I think I'll do some of the dark green too. Find in polka dot ribbon or plaid ribbon or anything like that. So I actually only need 2, but you're gonna cut little strips just like this, just a little slit, okay? And then you're gonna pull it. So now I have a piece of ribbon. And then you're gonna pull that one. I have another piece of ribbon. I had some orange ribbon. Maybe I still do. I don't know how that orange is gonna look. I think we'll just keep with this. I'm gonna cut me some green too. So I think the green is gonna match better than the red. Okay, and you can get a lot of ribbon out of a yard of fabric. If you are only getting fabric for ribbon like this, just get a fat quarter. You do not need. Fat quarters are little pieces that they have already cut, that usually at Walmart you can get them. It's just a quarter of fabric, basically. So I think, I'm trying to figure out what colors to use because I didn't really plan my ribbons. I think that's gonna work. So you can cut your ribbon down that you have. So I have these 2 pieces and I'm gonna tie them. I'm not even gonna tie them in the knot, I'm just gonna tie them once. So there you have that. And then we'll put some raffia on it as well. And then I think I'm gonna use the red one on the bigger one. Actually, I probably shouldn't have cut that in half because those are shorter. I'm gonna take that back off. Yeah, I don't like the bow. Okay. I'm gonna trim these up so they're not hanging down in front of our pretty sunflower. I think I will display this sunflower separately, because here's the thing, I tried it and I'm not digging the colors, but it's all right. Now you know what they look like in different colors, right? Okay, so I have those, and so when you get it, some of it may be in really thin pieces and some of it may be in really thick pieces. And you can spread the paper apart. I'll show you. But I think I'm actually going to tie this in a bow. I gave y'all a bow trick last month, I think it was, to tie your bows upside down, because it makes your tails lay right for some reason. No matter how I tie a bow, I have to do it upside down. I'm just gonna bunch this up so it gives it some, okay. So I'll show you, like on this piece. This is a really thick piece. You can take it and rip it apart and make it in smaller pieces. So it looks like you have a bunch here. It's just paper, basically. Okay, so now these are super long, so I'm gonna lay this down and I'm gonna hold them all down, and I usually pull them down to be the same length as my pumpkin, because they're not gonna be that long. They're gonna, you love the teal. Well, just know, every time I send you guys a craft box, you have the paints that are in the kit as shown, but that doesn't mean that you have to paint them that way. If you have a favorite color and you want, so for next month, if you want your witch's hat a different color, you want your witch's hat purple, you can make your witch's hat purple. You do not have to make it the same way I do, and that's the beauty of it, is that I like being able to see everybody's different ideas come to life. So let's spread this raffia out a little bit more. And then that's it. I'm going to show you what the 2 giveaways are, but I will have to do the drawing offline. I'll have to get everybody's name that ordered in a bucket, and I'll do it.